What's up, Mets fans? Welcome back to the Mets Postgame Show right here on the channel and on X. And welcome back as we are talking about a New York Mets victory. And with our boy Chris not here, let's spam those W's, guys, in the chat as the Mets get a win. Jesus, it happened. We get a W for us, finally. And it only took an actual starter to actually pitch well and keep lead. Imagine that, Mets fans. Imagine that. A starting pitcher was given a lead and he held it. Give it up for Nolan McClean as he got his first win in his MLB debut. 6 innings, 2 hits, no runs, 8 strikeouts with the 4 walks. Now, again, if you want to nitpick a little bit, and listen, we should a little bit, right? His problem in the minors was walks. He averages 4 walks a start, which is exactly what he did. And that's got to get better because we all know the Mets pitching has been very much known to walk too many batters. So that's got to get a little bit better. But overall, getting that bases loaded jam that he was in the 3rd inning, making that backhand play to make the double play. And again, he could have thrown home and let Alvarez throw to first, right? That should have been the initial reaction in the first throw. But what he didn't do was hesitate. He knew where he was going with the ball. Regardless if it was at home or second, he knew where he was going with the ball. We always talk about baseball IQ. That is a kid that has a high baseball IQ. He knew exactly what he was doing with the ball if that ball was hit to him. That is something that the Mets have lacked on defense in general, where the baseball IQ is downright dumb, to be quite honest with you. But he was able to do the job, got the job done, got out of that inning, didn't really have much of a struggle after that. A lot of, you heard the boos at Citi Field when they were taking him out after 5 1/3, after he got the strikeout. Took him out. Everybody was like, oh, why do you throw in 90 pitches, blah, blah, 91 pitches? Look, the kid hasn't thrown more than 97 pitches. We all know, and I told you this in the pregame, I told you this multiple times, you got to be a little careful. You got to understand what their plan is. Their plan is not to kill this kid and make him overthrow. They're not doing that. I know that sucks for us. We hate that, these rules and all that other nonsense, but that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. And you got to understand that. And that same goes for Brandon Sproat if he comes up. Right? Maybe next time they'll make him throw up to 100 pitches. Like he threw 91. When's the last time a Mets pitcher threw 91 pitches? And it wasn't in the 3rd inning, no 4th inning. Like, good performance. And you know what? Mendoza wanted to get him out of there before it blew up. And not saying that he would blow up, right? Not saying that he wouldn't get out of that 6th inning, right? I had confidence he would have. But the last thing you need while you're winning 1-0 is for him to get into a little bit of trouble, and now you got to use your bullpen with runners on. I'd rather have our bullpen come in with nobody on base, even if that's with 1 out in the 6th. I don't want our bullpen to come in with runners on base. Give him a clean inning. And putting Gregory Soto in that spot with 1 out and nobody on was a pretty much clean inning. And you were able to use Soto for the following inning in the 7th, and it worked out. He pitched an inning and 2/3, and he got the job done. Peter, I agree with you, right? I wanted him out there, but you had to understand going in that you had to understand what they were doing with him. The last time he pitched, he threw 75 pitches. His highest in the minors was 97 pitches. He was 6 pitches away. The last thing you want to do is throw him in a situation where he might put some people on. And now you got a bullpen that a lot of people don't trust with runners on base. I'm more comfortable with the bullpen coming in a clean inning. So I agree, Dolo. And listen, Mendy did nothing wrong here, right? This was the plan going into the game. They weren't going to make him throw. It was probably 90 pitches where their limit was, because it got a little bit deeper in the count with Julio Rodriguez. When he struck him out, it ended up being 91. They were taking him out. It's just that simple. And that is a shot. I'm watching the Jets and Giants. That was a hell of a throw. Well, that was a Russell Wilson bomb. So, sorry about that, guys. And yeah, Alien, exactly. Listen, and Peter, exactly. Everybody did their job today, right? You got the insurance runs you needed. And again, the Mets are allowed to win a low-scoring game in a close game, right? We get this mindset that, oh, the Mets have to score 6 runs or more, or it's not worth winning. Bullshit. Have you watched April and May? How many low-scoring close games we won? 3-2, 4-2. We won a lot of 1-2 run ball games earlier in the season. We can win these games. This has been nothing new. The Mets offense has been given leads to Mets pitchers. Out of the 14 games the Mets lost, out of the last 16, they had 11 leads in those games. They lost all those games. And some of them were late in games. You see what happens when you get leads? You're allowed to hold them every now and then. And they did it. And there's going to be a pretty quick stream, just so everybody knows, because it's been a long day. A lot of hours of streaming. So another 10 minutes or so, we'll get into it. But look, 6 innings, 2 hits, 8 strikeouts, 4 walks, no runs. Take that every day of the week. Now, the good news, besides Nolan McClean pitching really well, you use 2 pitchers out of your bullpen. You see the difference when you get a pitcher stepping on the mound in the 6th inning. And again, Nolan McClean didn't finish the 6th inning, but when the starter touches the mound in the 6th inning, it gives Mendoza a little bit of an easier time to navigate the bullpen. And that's what happened. He was able to use Soto for an inning and 2/3 and finish it up with Edwin Diaz. So now tomorrow, with Mr. Clay Holmes on the mound, Mr. 5 innings, probably 4. You got your bullpen, right? You got Helsley a day off. You got Rogers a day off. You got Reed Garrett a couple of days off. You got your bullpen. And I know everybody's like, oh, God, we got Helsley and Rogers and Garrett. Have you seen them the last couple of outings? Yes. But these are your guys. You are stuck with these high-leverage guys. These are the guys you're going to battle with through the rest of the season and hopefully into the playoffs. You gotta start trusting them. So it is what it is. So unfortunately, I don't know where we're getting out of Clay Holmes tomorrow. Right? You also got a desperate team in the Seattle Mariners that are fighting for a playoff spot. So, and they got Kirby going tomorrow, who's very good. This is an opportunity for the New York Mets to win a goddamn series. The Phillies have not played well. I just gave you the stat in the Mets watch party, and I'm not expecting somebody to sit there 2.5, 3 hours to watch the replay. But as I said, in that watch party, the Mets are 5 games out of a division from the Phillies. 5 games back to the Phillies. Look at the last 10 games. That's all you need to know about where the Mets are. They're 1-9 in their last 10. Now they're 2-8. But 1-9 in their last 10 prior to this game ending. 1-9 in their last 10. The Phillies are 5-5. Do the math. If the Mets are 5-5 during that 10-game stretch, they're basically even with the Phillies. They might be a game up, a game behind them. That's the difference. So it's not like the Phillies have been playing great baseball. The Mets have been playing so bad, and the Phillies only have to play 500 baseball. That is the difference of a lead in the division right now. The Phillies playing 500 out of the 500 baseball, and if you even go back in the last 20 games, they're basically 500. And the Mets are, again, 14 and 16. Now they're 14 and 15 and 17. You know what I'm saying? So, like, that's what it is. So, am I overly excited? No. They need to win a series. Win 2 in a row. God forbid you do that. But everybody did their job today. The offense got clutch hits. The offense did their job. The pitching did their job. And look at that. When everything works out and everybody does their job, the Mets win. But I want to give a shout out. People are going to give a shout out to Pete Alonso and a couple of RBIs from everybody else. The player of the game for me, besides Nolan McClean, because he deserves it. But the offensive player of the game is Mr. Brett Baty. Let's give it up for Brett Baty. Why? Because out of the 3 runs the Mets scored, he scored 2 of them. Because he got base hits that led to other guys coming up and driving him in. So Brett Baty played a hell of a game today. Give it up for Brett Baty. Yeah, Alien, that's what I said. We played the Phillies in 10 days on the 26th, if I'm not mistaken. It's either the 26th or the 27th. Somewhere, it's about 10 days away. Right? 10 days away. You got to be within striking distance. And I'm talking about 3 or 4 games when you face them and you're playing them at home. That's important. And I think it's a 3-game series, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just double check for everybody. I think it's 3-game series. Yes, they start them on 25th. Excuse me. They play a 3-game series at home. The 25th, 26th, and 27th. Be within 3 or 4 games of them. Now, it would be nice if you're closer, but be 3 or 4 games. The Phillies have not played well. Make no mistake about it. Too many people are talking about the Phillies like they've been freaking world beaters. They have not. They have not played well. The Mets have played so bad that the Phillies only had to play 500 ball just to get that lead that they have right now. If the Mets would have played 500 baseball over the last 10 games, they would be even with the Philadelphia Phillies. That is how bad the Mets have been. Not how good the Phillies have been, how bad the Mets have been. So what do they got to do here? Right the ship. Wheeler just won on the IL. Thank you, Mike. I was just about to say that. You want to be within striking distance. You got about 9 days left until you face the Phillies. You got the Nationals for 3 and Atlanta for 3. That is your road trip after tomorrow and the off day. Now, let's reiterate this here and let's talk about it. I brought it up a couple of days ago. After the Seattle series tomorrow, we got the off day on the 18th, which is the Monday. The New York Mets play 16 straight games in a row. So that is from August 19th until September 3rd. They don't have their next off day until September 4th. That is why it is very, very, very important, and I say that very emphatically, very important, that the New York Mets starting pitching finds a way to go deeper into games. Your bullpen will be completely shot the rest of the year if you can't go deeper into games. You can't have your bullpen go 4, 5, 6 deep every game with no off days off and 16 games in a row. You will have a complete and utter blow up of your bullpen the time you even get into September. That can't happen. It is up to Minaya. It is up to Senga. It is up to Peterson. It is up to whoever the hell you want in this rotation. Now, Nolan McClean, maybe Brandon Sproat. I do think Brandon Sproat's going to come up here because 16 games in a row with no off days, you're going to need an extra starter. especially to give Singer an extra day off, which God forbid he pitches on the 5th day. He won't. So Brandon Schmalt's going to get called up. He's probably going to get called out sometime during this stretch of 16 games. I think what they should do, in my opinion, my humbled opinion, is bring him up. I mean, do you want to bring him up in the Atlanta series? I don't care. Bring him up. Whatever his next time up, he should be starting for the New York Mets, not the Syracuse Mets. So, they're not going to send McClean back to the minors. They're not going to do that. It doesn't make sense. Now, what they might do, and let's understand this, because he's not going to be available for his next available start with the off day. Let's say they keep him on regular rest. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if they keep him on regular rest, he won't pitch again until the 21st, which is the last game in Washington. Now, what they could do to save a roster spot, but they don't have to, because tomorrow with the Little League, the Players Weekend game in Williamsport tomorrow, which is the Little League game that they play in Williamsport, Pennsylvania, you get an extra guy on your roster, the 27th man. That's going to be Luisangel Acuña. So they don't have to send Noah McClean down just to get a roster spot. So they should be okay. The roster should be set. Now, I wonder if the Mets, and Gary Cohen brought this up, are they going to keep Luisangel Acuña on the roster after tomorrow? Who's getting sent down? Tyrone Taylor hasn't played. Are you going to DFA Tyrone Taylor? That's a dangerous game to play, in my opinion, because that leads to all you have other than Cedric Mullins is Luisangel Acuña and Jeff McNeil as your possible backup center fielders. That worries me a little bit. And that's what I was going to say. I would send Mauricio down. Give Acuña the opportunity to be the Ronnie Mauricio role. Now, you're not getting any power from Luisangel Acuña up until this point. So you are losing the potential power of Ronnie Mauricio. But Brett Beatty has been playing third base. Keep Brett Beatty at third base. I have no problem with that. Let Luisangel Acuña be the role of Ronnie Mauricio. You want to DH him? Give him an opportunity. Give him an opportunity. If not, we'll see. It's in the middle of nowhere. That kind of makes sense. You know, when I drove up to Pittsburgh, and that's obviously Western PA. I went to West Virginia because I'm in North Carolina, so I went straight to West Virginia. So yeah, I was in the middle of nowhere. So I understand the middle of nowhere is nowhere. And I'm in a major metropolis in North Carolina, but yeah. So I'm okay if Ronnie Mauricio gets sent down, but if I know David Stearns, Tyrone Taylor might be on the block, unfortunately. But I would not do that. You have options on other guys, like a Beatty, like a Mauricio. You're not sending down Beatty. Ronnie Mauricio should be sent down. He needs a little bit of work, especially with the bat. Leave him in the minors for a couple of weeks. You can bring him back up in September, no problem. But work on his selectiveness at the plate. Dolo, yeah, the dimensions of MLB Stadium, they're not playing in the Little League ballpark. You know, the Yankee Stadium. Sorry, I had to say that. They're playing, they have a Major League Park that they built a couple of years ago, if I'm not mistaken. I think before the pandemic, they built a full big league ballpark over there. So I don't think they would DFA Vientos. I find that very hard to believe. But I don't know. It'd be crazy. If they do, it will piss people off. I know that. But whatever. Listen, does Luisangel Acuña, I don't know what he's doing in the minors. I'm going to be the first one to tell you. I haven't been paying attention. But let's look. I'll check for you guys. Why the hell not, right? All right. I'm just going to check for you really quick. Game logs. All right, here we go. Let's go all the way to, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. I only got up until July. Is that the way? Did he get hurt? No, right? Why did I only got July here? I hate MLB. Give me baseball reference. Okay. Hold on, guys. Sorry about that. Batting 277, 15 strikeouts, and 92 plate appearances, 21 games in the minors. No home runs, 4 doubles, 1 triple, 15 strikeouts in 92 appearances. That's not terrible. Stolen bases is 4. On base is 319. Not good, but it's better than what it was at the Mets at 295. So slugging is 349. It's up from where he was with the Mets. OPS is 668, which was 578 with the Mets. So he has no home run. So the power hasn't been there. But again, I don't care about the power. I'm not concerned about the power. You got Lindor, Nimmo, Alonso, Soto. You got Alvarez for the power. We need Acuña to start hitting better and getting on base more. That is where he's at his best. The problem with Acuña and why he needed to get sent down was that he was not getting on base when he started. He was striking out too much. He wasn't walking. He wasn't getting enough hits. And that doesn't help your speed if you don't get on base. So he stopped playing, being a starter. They made him into basically a pinch runner and defensive replacement because his use is speed. But if you don't get on base, your speed is pointless. So we'll see. It's going to be a very interesting situation after tomorrow. Now, once again, guys, Luisangel Acuña, if you don't know, when you go into that Little League Williamsport playing at the Little League World Series, you get an extra player on the roster. So Luisangel Acuña will be the 27th man on the roster tomorrow. Doesn't mean he's going to stay with the team. But with the off day on Monday, David Stearns has the decision to make. Does he leave Acuña with the team? Somebody's got to get sent down or DFA'd. I don't think they're going to DFA Vientos. I don't think they're going to DFA Tyrone Taylor. So, and you're not sending down Brett Beatty. So who is the odd man out? Ronnie Mauricio. Now, they could just leave it the way it is and leave Acuña in the minors. Because again, they've seen Acuña, and I just gave you the numbers, right? His OPS, his slugging, his on base is better in the 21 games he played in Syracuse since being sent down, has been better than what he did with the Mets when he was up for for the last couple of months. No home runs, but I'm not worried about the home runs. He's not a home run hitter. I don't want to see the power. I see the occasional home run for sure, but I like the on base being higher than it was with the Mets. Slugging, OPS, all that stuff is higher than when it was with the Mets. It's not good. It's not great, but it's better. His on base is up about 45, 50 points. That's good. That's a good sign. He's batting 277, which means he's getting hits. He's not hitting a lot of doubles. He has 4 doubles in 92 plate appearances. Not great. 1 triple. So he's hit, but if he's getting base hits, that means he's on base, which is using his best asset, which is his legs. So, Brandon Dolo, I don't know. Which bro? I don't know. I don't know who's on the roster currently. Let me just look at the roster. Let me just look at the Mets roster. Give me a second. One second, guys. Let's just take a look. Give me 1 second. Oh, well, I don't know if they'll take anybody out of the bullpen. I don't know. They would have to decide on somebody in the bullpen. but I don't know who. Would they DFA Ryan Stanek or Frankie Montas? That's the only two guys I can think of. You're not sending down Alvarez. You're not sending down Torrens. Beatty's here. You would think, let's say Mauricio or Acuña, one of those two. You're not DFAing Vientos. What do? You're going to DFA Tyrone Taylor? I don't think so. It's going to be a tough decision. I would think they would probably DFA Ryan Stanek or DFA Frankie Montas. That would be shocking, but they would have to do something. But we'll get there. When that time comes, we'll talk about it. Patrick, they might DFA Montas. I mean, that's a tough pill to swallow. That's another $17 million that you're paying him. Now, again, if nobody claims him, he can get sent down to the minors if he accepts it. But he probably won't accept it because he has enough years. Yeah, Ricardo, a lot of people might say DFA Stanek, but we all forget Stanek was the key of the bullpen being good in the playoffs. Stanek was a big part of that. We can't forget that. You know how people don't like to forget the Vientos playoffs? You can't forget what Ryan Stanek did for the Mets last year in the playoffs. So you don't just want to get rid of him. He has a ton of playoff experience. That is big. I know a lot of people that he's not good right now, but that experience can play. Well, Siri is on the 60-day, so he's not even on the current roster, so it doesn't make a difference. So we'll see. And it might be Ryan Stanek. It might be. Well, Dolo, that's what I'm saying. Like, you don't want to lose that possibility of Stanek being good and finding it in the playoffs. Because he was our best bullpen arm in the playoffs other than Edwin Diaz. So we'll see. So once again, guys, I want to thank you for tuning into the pregame, watch party, and now the postgame show. It's been a long day. Gonna eat some dinner, shower, go to sleep, get to work. So I do appreciate everybody hanging out with me throughout the entire day. The Mets win 3-1. They gain a game on the Phillies. They remain the third wild card, no matter what. But Ricardo, they can DFA Winker, but he's not currently on the roster, on the 26 men, so that doesn't matter. What you're looking at is the current roster right now. Not a lot of decisions. You might have to DFA somebody or send somebody down you don't want to send down. It's looking like a DFA. We'll see. With that said, thank you for tuning in to the Mets Postgame Show right here on the channel. If you missed anything today, you can replay it. Not expecting anybody to replay the watch party for 3 hours. But if you want to check out certain parts of the watch party, please do. They break up in segments throughout important moments of the stream. Check it out, guys. With that said, thank you for tuning in to the Mets Postgame Show. I'll see you tomorrow for another pregame and possible watch party for the 7 o'clock game with Mets and Mariners. With that said, have a good night, guys. Let's go Mets. And I'll see you tomorrow, guys. Having a Mets victory is nice to talk about, guys. Have a good night, guys. Let's go Mets.
Meet the Mets, meet the Mets. Step right up and greet the Mets. Bring your kiddies, bring your wife.